friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. In today's video, I'm going to take you on a step-by-step tutorial on how to create a layered offset wood sign using your laser. And honestly, you guys, it's so fun and so easy to do. I'm going to show you the whole process from designing in Lightburn to then we're going to be cutting and painting and staining and gluing and assembling all the things. And I'm also going to show you guys how to line your letters up without having to create any kind of extra templates or anything like that. So it'll be super easy to follow. And this is a very simple project. It was one of our very first projects that we ever created with our laser, and I fell in love. And honestly, everybody else loved it too. It's one of our best-selling signs, and I know this style sign is super popular in the wood sign community. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to make those today. The laser that I have is the Thunder Nova 51 130 watt laser. So just know that if you have a different laser, different size, different wattage, you might have to tweak your settings or size of your sign a little bit. But I just wanted to mention that that is the laser that I have and that I'm using in today's video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on into this tutorial and let's create our sign. So here we are in Lightburn software that I use with my laser, and we're going to design our sign. So the first step is to click our font tool, and we are going to use the font Ostrich Inline for the first name. Next, for the middle name, I'm going to use the Barley font. I will link down below where I get my fonts. For this font, I like to adjust a few things to make it more stable. It's pretty easy to do this. I just make sure to group it together to make it into a shape. And then I'm going to then ungroup and adjust my lettering how I like. Once it appears more stable, I will then weld the font together. Then I'm going to get the placement on how I want my sign to appear. This font is a little bit on the thinner side, so I decided I'm going to use this offset tool on the side to thicken it up a bit. You just want it to be outward offset and then adjust the thickness how you like it. The reason you want to do this for some fonts is because it can be very flimsy and thin for certain fonts, just if you have like thinner pieces in it. So sometimes thickening it up makes it a little bit more stable and just makes it appear nicer. So now we're going to make our backer wood piece. For this, we're going to select our entire name. We're going to right click and duplicate it. Then you're going to click that offset tool again on the side, and you're going to choose a thickness that you would want your border and background to be. Once you choose that, you are going to then select the border and then ungroup. I personally like to delete all of those little pieces inside of the border because it just makes it look nicer and cleaner. Highlight your entire piece and change the width up at the top to what you want it to be. I chose 36 inches wide. Now to make our name have an outline so we know where to glue our letters. For this, you are going to select the first name, right click, then duplicate. Move that duplicated piece off to the side for now. Click the first name again and then go over and click your offset tool again. This time you are going to select the inward option rather than the outward because we want this outline to be thinner than our name so it doesn't show once you glue those letters on. Pick a number that is the thinnest that you can get it while still being able to see where to place your letters. Now I'm just going to do the same thing, and I'm going to make an inward offset to the middle name as well. On my software, I have red set to cut and black set to score, so I'm just making sure to select the border to cut and the outline on the inside to score once it's in my laser. The settings that you'll use on your laser are totally dependent on the wattage and the specifics of your laser, so just make sure that you have all that dialed in before you start making different projects. But once you do and you know what cut settings are, what score settings are, it'll be good to go, and you can just input that over on your settings. Here I'm just grouping my scored section together by clicking Ctrl G. Now I'm going to select the whole thing and just move it off to the side. Make sure to then change those names over there to cut. For this specific project, I'm going to paint my letters before we cut them. To do this, I'm going to make a rectangle around each name. This is going to make sense as you watch the rest of the tutorial, so just stay tuned for that. So once all of that is created, you are then going to set up your cut area to get it ready to send to your laser. For this project, I'm able to fit it all onto one sheet of wood, so I'm just going to kind of place everything together like a puzzle to fit on our cut sheet. All right, so we are out in the shop. I'm gonna go ahead and get the laser turned on and we're gonna get everything started. So before we start, I just wanted to mention a couple things. So the size sign that we're gonna be making today is a 36-inch sign. With this style laser, so the Nova 51, you can go up to like 48 inches wide, but that's the size that we're gonna be creating in today's video. And we're gonna be able to fit everything on one sheet of wood. And the sheets of wood that I'm referring to is when we buy our wood, we buy them in 4x8 sheets. And so then we cut them down to fit the size of our laser. So when I'm saying it'll fit on a sheet, that means that it will fit all of the designing and everything for this sign will fit on one sheet that'll fit in our laser, so we'll be able to kind of cut everything together. So first thing I do is I always get the lasers turned on, clean the optics, get all of that stuff done. What cleaning the optics means is inside of these lasers you have some mirrors and lenses that just need to be kind of cleaned off a little bit, and you can use alcohol for that, like rubbing alcohol. So I will get those cleaned up, we'll get the air turned on, and we'll get everything geared up and ready to go. So please ignore the fact that our Thunder logo is a little bit peeled off. It's a decal. We were cleaning the parts, pressure washing, cleaning everything, and the pressure washer got it a little bit, and so I need to replace that decal. But I just wanted to mention that to you guys. If you see it, that's what happened to it. Not that big of a deal. It doesn't affect the laser in any way, shape, or form. It's just a decal, but it bothers me, so I need to get a new one. So our wood is loaded up into our laser, beautiful grain. I love how each individual piece of wood looks different, but this is white birch, so it is a very pretty wood and it stains well and it paints well. So we have that into the laser. Now we're going to get it focused in and then send our Lightburn file over to our laser and get that cut out. So I personally always like to manually focus my laser head, and the reason why is because autofocus a lot of times, yes, it factors in what the height of your wood is, but it won't factor in really where your laser head is at. So if I had it all the way up to the top, it's gonna be all the way up here, and then it's not gonna cut through. So I know my laser by heart, and I know about the height that works well for this wood, so I just kind of eyeball it, and I know what works for it. So everything's focused. Now let's go ahead and send the file over to the laser. All right, so I think you guys can see my software here on my computer. So here we are in Lightburn. As you see, this is basically our laser bed here. It's showing us where our laser bed is, what we can put inside of it, and all the things. So we have our board in there, and what we're planning on doing is cutting out here our backer piece, scoring, which is our black, the inside, so we know where to place our letters, and glue it all up and all that stuff. So that is there for just our visual reference only. It will not be able to be seen once we place our letters that are going to cut out on the top. So as you see, I have a red rectangle around our letters, and the reason being is we're actually going to paint after we cut out this square or this rectangle. Reason why, some people like to cut or paint their letters after they cut it, and they like to do the sides and all the things. But what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be painting first and then placing back into our laser to then cut these pieces out. It'll make sense in a minute. But this is just the visual of what you see right now and what we're about to send over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight our backer along with our score line, and I'm going to highlight just the rectangle of Jackson and just the rectangle of David. What that means is it's only going to cut this rectangle, and then it's going to cut my backer. We're going to paint and stain, and then we're going to put these pieces back in to then cut the letters out. It'll make sense in just a second. So let's go ahead and we're going to send this over to the laser, and we're going to get that cut out. So everything's cut out and ready to be spray painted. So we have our smaller board here. We're going to be spray painting it in white. This is the middle name, and it's going to be done in this Rust-Oleum 2X in white. And then we're also going to be spray painting our larger first name, this rectangle, and this Rust-Oleum in True Navy. So we're going to spray paint those, and then we're going to get our backer stained. So let's go ahead and get to painting and staining. When it comes to spray painting these signs, I usually do a light layer first, kind of lightly sand over it, and then do a second coat, and it just makes it look really smooth. So something else that you can add to add extra durability to your paint is a finishing, like a clear coat type spray. I like to match that to whatever paint you use. This is a good one, it's the Rust-Oleum. I like to stick to flat and satin paints. I plan on doing a tutorial soon on just like different painting techniques and different things. For this style sign, obviously I'm showing you guys like the paint before you cut method, and this is just for a different style sign. But we also do signs where we paint the letters for a more finished look on the sides. So that is a tutorial that I plan on doing soon. But like I said, this is just like a different version. But yeah, if you want to just add this over to your rectangles before you cut, you can do that. Just make sure it is fully dry before you put it in your laser, because believe me, if you put it in too soon, it is going to cause the paint to just look melted looking and not good. So you want your paint to be fully dry before you cut the letters out. Okay, so paint is dry. We're about to line those painted pieces back up into our laser. You might be wondering, Sally, why do you do it this way? Isn't it more work? Why not just cut the letters out, then paint, then you don't have to line anything back up? Guys, it doesn't take but just a few seconds. I promise you, it's super easy, and it's just a different method. Some people like to have their letters painted on the sides. Some people prefer this method. Just two different looks. I'll show both ways. I'll do another video soon showing you guys how I paint my sides for finished pieces like that. But this is just a different method, and it's just a cool modern look. I've found that I like it this way. So, and it saves a lot of time, especially when you're doing a lot of production type work and you're doing a lot of orders. This just makes sense, and the paint dries faster, and it just looks really good. So let's go ahead and line our pieces back up. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So we have our software pulled back up here. I'm going to take this laser position tool here on the side. I don't know if you can see it. And I'm going to just click the very tip top left-hand corner of my navy piece. So I just clicked it, and my laser head just jogged over to the spot that it needs to be. Now that I've matched that corner up, you can see your laser dot, and you just match it right up. I'm going to the right-hand side, and I'm going to click that. All right, now I'm going to the middle name in white, and I'm going to do the same thing, click the left-hand side. I'm going to click my right-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup our rectangle because we don't need to cut that again. And I'm going to delete it. I'm going to ungroup again, delete my rectangle, and just for good measure, I'm going to highlight my middle name first, click frame, make sure that it is inside of our square. Looks great. Now I'm going to do the same to Jackson, and I'm going to frame it as well. Y'all, everything looks good, so let's go ahead and start up the laser. Now that these are done cutting, I have a damp microfiber cloth. So if you see any like soot or anything like that, this is the time that you can wipe it off and make it a little easier, or you can just do it after. But sometimes it makes it easier just to like do it while everything's inside of its casing. All right, here are all of our pieces. And as you see here, this outline that we have on our backer makes lining up super simple. You don't need any kind of extra template or anything crazy like that. You literally just have to match it up and place on there with the glue of your choice. And I'm gonna show you what glue I use here in a second. But as you see here, it's gonna be super easy to line up. And then our middle name will go right here. And then our sign will be finished. So let's go ahead and get everything glued up. This glue is not very forgiving, so I would suggest practicing before you start making signs like this, because once you place it down, it's pretty much down. But what I do is I take the glue and I just turn the letter around and put dots all around the back of this. It doesn't need a whole lot, but I like to at least make sure I'm getting it in all of the corners and all throughout, because you just don't want any gaps or anything in it. But this glue is pretty permanent, so once it's on there, it's on there. So let's go ahead and get started gluing. Guys, so here is the final result of our sign. This is 36 inches for reference. All right, y'all, so that pretty much wraps it up for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and learned something today. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to hit that bell notification. It'll just alert you when I make a new video. We do lots of fun things on this channel, you guys, lots of crafty content, lots of business tips and tricks, and Etsy selling tips, just all the things like that. So I'll be seeing you guys in the next one, which will be very soon, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.